My Mariners brothers, you know what this video is going to be about. You know what we're going to talk about. You know what everyone is thinking about at the moment. When it comes to the Seattle Mariners, you guys probably already have the topic du jour in mind. It's not the starting rotation, right? Like they're holding their own. It's not been great. Robbie Ray been a little bit of a disappointment so far, but still, by and large, pitching well enough for the team to win. Marco and Flexen have been competent bottom rotation guys. Marco seems to be losing it a little bit, but he's not terrible yet. Logan Gilbert still awesome. Finally had a not so great start, but still pitched well enough for the team to win. Wasn't his fault. Bullpen blew it. Matt Brash got sent down, which I kind of expected. I didn't expect him to be ready. I thought it was a little too early. And then you call up George Kirby, who I really didn't think was going to be ready, and he lights the world on fire on Sunday. But the rotation, I'm gonna put a little bit of a TBD on it. But so far, it's kept us in most games. Starting pitching has pitched well enough in most games that we play. They haven't been lights out in every game, and we are going to need to see something better from Robbie Ray quickly before that $125 million contract makes us look like fools. But I'm not really thinking about the starting rotation right now. We're getting more or less what I expected. We're getting way more than I expected from Logan. We're getting probably less than I expected from Ray. But if things go really sour for Marco or Flexen, maybe we can call up Brash later this season if he gets a chance to settle down in Tacoma. So odds are good that I think the rotation's fine. Not really going to talk about the bullpen. They're not great. They were a little better last year, probably. We got a lot of guys who are interesting, but nobody I totally trust yet. Castillo, completely gone to crap. Completely gone to crap. You may as well just DFA him at this point. Dude's useless. I guess you throw him out there in blowouts because who cares, but that dude is completely shook right now. But, you know, Swanson's doing great. Steckenrider's been all right. Sewell, he's great, other than, he had that one game a couple days ago, which he, brutal beat, but it happens. Murphy's very interesting. We got some guys. Romo's probably going to be back pretty soon, I think. If not, then it's not like we were counting on him for a ton anyway. But the bullpen, I'm not in love with it. There's nobody in this bullpen I completely trust. But there are some guys that I'm okay with. So it's not the starting rotation, really, and it's not really the bullpen either. It's not even really the defense. Now, I can talk about the defense for a minute here because, what is going on with J.P. Crawford? What is going on there? My God, he traded in his glove for a bat. Could talk about that. Could talk about Adam Frazier. The dude looks lost at second base sometimes. I thought we were trading for a competent defensive second baseman, but he doesn't look anywhere close to competent quite often. And that's a problem. That's the middle of your infield. If those guys don't get it together, and I think that JP will, I don't know if I think Frazier will, but that is a problem. But you know what? The defense in the outfield has been much better than I expected. I expected a lot of bad stuff in the outfield. We haven't seen it at all. Julio's actually been great as near as I can tell. If anybody has a stat that contradicts that, please let me know. But I think Julio's been much better than I expected. Winker's been fine. Kelnick looks much better in right field. So we're getting better than expected results from the outfield. Suarez, who I was really worried about at third base, has been fine so far. Toro, he's been okay, but he offers great value as a utility player. He can play multiple positions in the infield. I'll give him some credit there for being able to do that kind of stuff. But I don't know. Defense, the Crawford thing is the main problem right now. That needs to get better. I don't know if I believe the Adam Frazier thing gets better, which is unfortunate, but I believe that Crawford's going to figure this out. He's a good defensive player. He's too good to keep playing like this. And the stuff around him, for the most part, has been good. Even the catcher, which I was terrified when I heard that when it became clear that Torrens and Murphy were going to have to play significant games at catcher, but even that seems to have been fine. So, no, it's not really the defense. The defense, maybe they've cost us a game this year. maybe. Maybe you could find even 2 games. But I kind of expected it. It's just not coming from the places I expected. So if it's not the rotation, if it's not the bullpen, if it's not the defense, and I'm not saying any of those things are perfect at all. At all. Really wish we had a bullpen arm that I completely trusted. We miss Sadler right now, no doubt. I wish that Robbie Ray was living up to his $125 million contract. I wish J.P. Crawford would get the glove that he had the last couple years. I do. But these are not the things that are concerning Mariners fans right now. No. Really, it's the lineup. It's this lineup that has us in a 2-8 skid. 2 of our last 10. So that's what we're talking about today. Let's figure it out. Now, one of the hard parts for me of making sports videos as a fan on the internet is figuring out the right amount to react to things. Overreact, underreact. You're trying to balance it out. You're trying to find the correct amount of react. And this is really hard to figure out how to react to it because I've been watching this team for the last 10 games and it has been an absolute train wreck with the lineup. I think we've had like 2 games where the offense showed up. We lost both games, actually. The pitching let us down in those games, which was unfortunate because the pitching has mostly, not totally, but mostly been effective in the games where we've lost because we couldn't score. And you combine that with some of the early struggles of the offense from the first few series of the year. It has a lot of Mariners fans feeling like this is just the same old garbage team. So I do have some thoughts on that. I do have some problems with this team's makeup, but I want to stress 4 things before we get into the meat of this video. And I want everybody to remember these 4 objective truths, okay? Everything I'm about to say is the truth. Whether or not you lend credence to that truth is up to you, but everything I'm about to say in this next little segment is factual. 1, the Mariners have missed almost all of the season from Mitch Haniger. He's barely played. And they have missed the whole season from Kyle Lewis. And by the way, while we're here, Crawford's missed the last couple games where the offense has really, really dropped a deuce. So, keep that in mind. Those are only 3 of our most key offensive players, especially Crawford this year, who has leveled up beyond my wildest dreams with the bat in his hands. Legitimately doing it all at the plate. Like, wow. Second of all, so forget the injuries. Very little of Haniger, no Kyle Lewis, and we've now missed a couple games of JP's bat, which, big deal, as it turns out. Okay. The Mariners are, as of right now, slightly below league average in batting average at 227. 227 batting average, slightly below league average, which is 233. Number 3, they are above average in runs scored. League average is 117, they're at 118. Slightly above league average. And finally, and this is probably the most important one, the Mariners are significantly above league average in ops plus. 9% over, in fact. So, here's the thing I'm going to get to, guys, here, and it's going to sound like I'm caping up for this regime, caping up for this front office and coaching staff, and to a certain extent, maybe I am. But the objective stats tell me that this Seattle Mariners team is not having the struggles at the plate that we are perceiving right now. We are in a little bit of a down streak. Things are not going well for the last several games. We've had a lot of 1-run games, 2-run games, 0-run games. We've been shut out 3 times this month already. I'm not saying I'm happy about any of that. But through 30 games, the numbers say that we are not hitting poorly. Ops plus is supposed to be the end-all be-all of offensive stats. We are 9% above average. So here's the reality, guys. Offense sucks right now across the league. Very few teams are having success on offense. In fact, I can look at this chart right here. There is only one team in all of Major League Baseball that is averaging 5 runs a game or more. And it's the Dodgers, who are averaging exactly 5 runs a game. All right? The league leader in batting average is not even at 260. Okay? There are teams, whole teams, that are not even batting above the Mendoza line. The Diamondbacks and the Athletics. Not even above the Mendoza line. So, the way I see it, there are two issues. I guess you could call them issues. Maybe the MLB doesn't see it as an issue. The baseball, something's up with the baseball. Maybe they need to, I don't know, throw a little bit of gin and tonic on that thing. Get it popping, get it flying out of the yard a little bit better. Or it's the umps. I've watched a ton of games. I've watched every Mariners game this year, pretty much. The strike zones are huge. This is not just against the Mariners. This is not for the Mariners. This is not exclusive to Mariners games. The strike zone this year is gigantic, it seems like. Okay? So, I don't know what needs to be said to the umps, but there are way too many strikes on balls that are clearly outside the zone this year. Strike zones are too big. I think they need to get shrunk a little bit. Or maybe it's going to take a rule change. Maybe players are going to have to stop swinging for the fences every single time they take the bat off their shoulder. I don't know. But this is a league-wide problem. So I know it's been tough to watch the Mariners. They'll play, 3 games and score like 2 runs across 3 games. And you're just sitting there like, I just wasted a lot of my time watching the Mariners. And they couldn't even entertain me by putting some runs on the board, right? I understand. I'm not happy about it either. I'm not happy to see these quality starts by these pitchers. Not every start, but quality starts by these pitchers in a lot of games. Pitching good enough to win, and the offense is just a corpse. I'm not happy about any of that. But the numbers say that we are not doing anything noticeably worse than other teams in the league. In some areas, we're actually doing well above the median. So, what I'm trying to say here is the panic that I'm seeing in like Mariners Facebook groups, because I'm in a couple, the panic that I'm seeing on Twitter from Mariners fans, I think we need to scale it back a little bit. And by the way, everything I just said, I didn't even talk about some of the variants, okay? Julio Rodriguez getting boned at the plate at a historic rate. You guys know what I'm talking about. The dude got rung up on pitches outside the zone like 15 times in the first, 20 games? It was ridiculous. Historic rate. Cervantes, the chillest dude in the world, actually got tossed out of a game because he got so sick of it. And, of course, Winker having about the most unlucky month of April you can ever have. Now, I'll grant you, it's a give and take. Murphy's probably getting a little lucky. He's going to regress. Crawford's going to regress a little bit. But overall, I think we need to step back here and realize that there's some stuff going on with this team that is not within their power to control. And if those things can be corrected, then maybe, just maybe, we can turn this season around. Because we got off to a good start. We started the season pretty well. We had a good stretch of baseball where we built up some wins. And now we've gone on a losing streak, but we started out well enough to where we had a little bit of a cushion. Now that cushion is fading, but I've been watching baseball long enough to know that in baseball, things just change on a dime. There are 162 games. We still got 132 left. I don't think it's unreasonable to look at that and go, hey, we're 4 games under 500. A lot of things not going our way right now. We're right now, to judge this team based off how they played in recent games is judging them at their worst. That's how I feel. Now, I will say this. And this is going to kind of throw a little bit of red meat to the people who are getting really angry at this team. Yesterday's game against the Phillies, our 7-8-9, was Dylan Moore, Jared Kelenic, Cal Riley. Automatic out, automatic out, automatic out. And maybe I could live with that, but your leadoff guy is Abraham Toro, who is hitting sub-Mendoza line this year. That shouldn't happen. I know people are hurt. I know you were giving Frazier the day off. That should not happen. Ever. That is bringing back memories of some of the old Mariners teams with Chone Figgins and Jose Vidro and other complete garbage players who had no business being in the league, but they were in the league because the Mariners existed. Okay? I know there are injuries, but guess what? Haniger is an injury-prone player. You should have known that when you got involved with him. Kyle Lewis, you knew he wasn't going to be ready to start the season because he got hurt last year, a long time ago. So I don't give them a complete pass for the way this team's lineup is right now. You should have gotten another player because at the end of the day, you look at this right now after an off season where you were supposedly going for it, and you did partially go for it because you brought in guys like Robbie Ray, you got Adam Frazier, you traded for Winker and Suarez. I'm still looking at a lineup full of guys from a night-to-night basis that I feel like changing the channel on whenever they're at bat because I know they're going to get out. And some of it is because like Kelenic's not showing out the way we were hoping so far, but some of it is also by design. Like Toro, we knew Toro wasn't great. And, you know, Toro's not playing terribly or anything. I think his Ops Plus is in the 80s now. He's starting to come around at least a little bit. But you knew Toro was nothing special. Dylan Moore's playing constantly because of the injuries. And I understand injuries are bad and unfortunate. But Dylan Moore being your next man up when you have injury-prone players like Mitch Haniger is a problem. Depending this heavily on guys like Torrens and Murphy, it's a problem. And this should have been addressed in the offseason. You could have brought in one more infielder. You could have brought in somebody with a more reliable bat like Baez or Trevor Story. But you decided we're going to hope that what we have is enough. And I think it'll be enough once we get some of these players back and Winker stops getting so unlucky. But it might not. And if it's not, then it's completely on the front office for deciding to stop one player short of removing our reliance on those guys. And here's the thing. You don't have any bullets left in the chamber after Mitch and Kyle Lewis come back. Because the farm system is actually really bad right now. Pretty much all the good stuff in your farm system is up. You've called up George Kirby. You've called up Julio. You've obviously called up Kelenic. You're probably about to send him back down, honestly. You've called up Cal. You called up Brash. You sent him back down. But there's not really a lot going on in the minor leagues right now that you can look at and go, well, we'll call him up later in the season to help us out. Okay, I mean, obviously you have Kyle Lewis, and now you have Matt Brash. But Hancock, I don't think Hancock's ready yet, in case you have a pitching need. I've been to a couple Rainiers games this year. I mean, Sam Haggerty's playing well, but we already know what Sam Haggerty is at the MLB level. Nothing special. So, for the most part, the die is cast. There's really not a whole lot else you can do. And, look, Murphy's not going to hit 300 for the whole season. I know he doesn't play every day. I know it's not the biggest deal in the world, but you can't count on Murphy to play the way he's been playing so far and think that that's going to carry us when he gets back from his injury. All right? The good news is Julio's been awesome. Crawford's been awesome, beyond my wildest dreams. Ty France has been slumping for 2 weeks now, barely done anything, and he's still got really good numbers. That's how good a start he got off to, and that's how good a player he is. So you throw in an effective Mitch Haniger. You throw in maybe a league average Adam Frazier, which is basically what he is right now. Winker starts getting a little more lucky. Maybe Kelenic starts getting some things to go his way. And you've got a chance. You've got a chance. You've got an opportunity to build a quality lineup from day to day that doesn't have that many dead spots in it. You are still going to be depending on Suarez. And by the way, I want to stress this about Suarez. You are getting what you expected when you got him. This is who he is. This is who he has been. He's a 200 hitter who strikes out a lot, hits into a ton of double plays, but he gives you power. Okay? That's what he is. I'm not going to say anything bad if Suarez continues to be that guy because that's who he was, okay? You don't nurse the rattlesnake back to health and then get mad when the rattlesnake bites you. He's a rattlesnake. But there's not a huge margin for error. We could really, really use Torrens figuring it out. Right now he's struggling. We need him to get back to a decent level. If Cal could become a non-complete, wasteland at the plate, that would be nice. But it is still doable. And the last thing I want to say, and this is something that I've just seen from people on Facebook, and I know those people on Facebook are venting, and I respect their need to do that. I get it. I had to do it too. I blew up a little bit on Twitter on Sunday because I was so irritated at what I was seeing. Because you see endless pop-ups to second, pop-ups to short. Just terrible fundamental swings that result in the easiest outs in baseball. Just giving free outs to the other team. People are talking about Cerveus and Dipoto. We're not firing these guys. They just got extended, and they're not... Look, Cerveus hasn't done a good job so far this year, I don't think. One thing I think Cerveus is kind of doing is throwing in the towel when he feels like the game is getting out of hand. So he'll just throw Castillo out there to get beat up when we're down 4 runs because he's just, like, we're not going to make up 4 runs. And people get on him for saying, well, why are you putting Castillo out there when he's just getting lit up? Because he realizes the game doesn't matter because our lineup is so crippled right now. Okay, I can't get that mad at him for that, okay? I don't want to waste... Like we've got Penn Murphy right now who's come up and done some really nice things out of the pen. I don't want to waste him in a game that we're not going to win anyway. So, I'm not saying Cerveus has done a good job yet this year because, I mean, the problems with this team's offense, and they are lineup wide pretty much outside of a few guys, and I don't know about the pen management in some of these closer games, but I can't get mad at him when he puts Paul Sewald out there to save the game, and then Sewald gives up a 3-run shot. Paul Sewald's good. You need to trust him out there. You need to put him out there and tell him, go get these outs, and most of the time, almost every time, you can depend on him to get those outs. But Cerveus is a good manager. He is. What he's not is a perfect manager. I'd love a perfect manager, but he's not. And I don't know what he's supposed to do about some of this, okay? I mean, it's not his fault that he has to put Dylan Moore in the 7 hole, and he has to run with Abraham Toro batting cleanup, batting 160, because there's nothing else to do, and he's just desperately trying to make something work. That's a front office thing. Get better players. And I'll go after Dipoto a little bit for not getting that one extra batter that would be making life so much easier for us, but at the same time, we got to give this thing a little more time to grow. All right? It's a 30-game sample size is not enough. Not in baseball. All right. That's all I got. This was a long video, but there was a lot to talk about. There's a lot of frustration in this fan base right now, and I get it. The plate discipline seems a little bit off right now. I don't like some of the things that I'm seeing, but we got to give this more time. See you guys later. Go Mariners. We'll see what happens.